All right, so as I said at the top of the hour, we still don't know who the president's going to be. Let's go state by state. In Georgia, they have approximately 90,000 votes left to count. Most of them are going to come from the Decatur, Atlanta area. I don't know if that's going to be enough to push Biden over the top. It's very possible. In North Carolina, they still have 5% of the precincts. We don't know. They haven't really announced from North Carolina. At least I haven't seen where those votes are still coming from. Trump leads a little by more than 1%. In Arizona, the Associated Press called Arizona for Biden yesterday. Still doesn't make Biden president yet, makes him a little closer, but it is not yet official. They still have a lot of votes to count from around the Phoenix area. Trump, surprisingly, is doing very well in the Phoenix-Maricopa area, but Biden is still getting approximately 60% of that vote. If he's still going to get 60% of the vote, he will ultimately win Arizona. This afternoon, Nevada, Biden increased his lead in Nevada. That's 6 votes. If Biden wins Arizona and Nevada, then Biden is going to be the president. And finally, Pennsylvania says sometime tonight or tomorrow morning, Pennsylvania will be announcing final results. Those final results are expected if the mail-in ballots continue historically from Philadelphia to favor Biden at 75 to 80%. At some point, sometime tonight or tomorrow, Biden is expected to overtake Donald Trump. Trump has approximately 100,000 person lead on Biden right now with 400,000 votes left to count, all of them from the Philadelphia and suburban Philadelphia area, where historically the vote comes in 75, 80% Democrat. With that being said, Arizona, Nevada stays positive for Biden. He's the president. If Pennsylvania flips to Biden, which is expected, he's the president. If Biden comes from behind and squeaks out Georgia, he will be really close to being the president. We don't expect him to win North Carolina. It's going to be a few more days. That's what it is. I hear some moans and groans in the background from Vanessa and Yo-Yo. You have some thoughts and comments?
Yeah, it's just, how do I sound now?
Better, but not great, but better. Good enough. Well, good enough.
Good enough. That's what we're gonna take. It's just, it's literally, it's so stressful, you know, to be in this type of, like, just to be in this moment. And I did read somewhere, I don't know if it's true, but I read somewhere in Nevada said they're not even gonna get their total polls until like
November 12th, and Arizona's November 10th. And the reason behind that is because the Postal Service is so slow that they are going to wait for all of the ballots to come in. They're waiting to make a final decision on whether to count a ballot or not until November 10th. Anything that's postmarked on November 3rd, they're giving 1 full week in Arizona, and I believe a week and 2 days in Nevada. They're giving 9 full days in Nevada for the mail to be delivered. So if it's postmarked on November 3rd and received by Arizona within 1 week of the postmark, and Nevada within 9 days of the postmark, those votes are going to be counted. Now, apparently, the United States Postal Service, they said they're taking extraordinary measures to deliver the ballots. Don't sound too extraordinary to me. 7, 9 days. Come on. We're not in a third world country. It's the United States of America.
Yeah, but you guys remember that one time that they didn't get the financial support that they needed? I don't know, maybe a couple months prior. Y'all might remember when that happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Meanwhile, Trump is now threatening legal action. As we said, it seems so far that everything is being counted smoothly, that there's not a lot of, they brought a legal action in Pennsylvania today. And the big lawsuit was, they don't know what to bring a lawsuit about. The big lawsuit in Pennsylvania today was they want Trump's people to stand closer to the guy who's counting the votes. And the judge said, okay, you can move a little closer. That was the big win in Pennsylvania for Trump today. His people can move a little closer to the vote counter.
Wow.
So they don't even know what to make a lawsuit about.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's just like speechless. Literally, there's absolutely nothing that this man won't do to like get this win.
Yeah. Well, he's going to do everything possible. Cheat, steal. That's what his entire life.
He doesn't even have a case.
He'll
pull up to court with no case.
His entire life was cheating and stealing. Now, once the votes are certified, and the presumption is that Biden is going to win, you're going to see him start to take action like the winning candidate to start to transition into being the president. And what you're going to see is Donald Trump saying he's not going to accept the results, and he's going to request recounts of all of the ballots. He's going to contest ballots, certainly in Pennsylvania. He already said it. He's going to contest the ballots that are being counted after November 3rd, but these are ballots that were dropped off prior to November 3rd. I can't see judges disenfranchising people who didn't want to stand online for fear of getting COVID. So ultimately, you know, it's going to come down to a recount, and unless Biden wins a state by 30, 40, 50 votes, I mean, if he wins by tens of thousands of votes, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 votes, which is still a very close race. You know what I said about Albert Einstein yesterday, right? You know, you're not going to find 50,000 votes to flip and say, no, we made a mistake 50,000 times. Maybe they made a mistake 50 times or 75 times or 100 times, but they didn't make 50,000 mistakes. Or, you know, so I'm not worried about a recount, really.
Yeah.
Good. Meanwhile, there are some congressional races left to call, but it looks like the Republicans are going to retain the Senate. The House is going to be Democratic. And there are some inspirational congressional victories. Debra Hixon won a school board seat in Broward County, Florida, 3 years after her husband was killed in the Parkland school shooting. Mauree Turner has become the first non-binary state legislature and first Muslim Oklahoma lawmaker. Cori Bush, a Black Lives Matter activist who got into politics following 2014's upheaval in Ferguson, Missouri, is now the first black woman to represent the state in Congress. Richie Torres, a New York City council member, won his U.S. House race to represent the South Bronx, becoming the first black member of Congress who identifies as a homosexual. And Sarah McBride of Delaware will become the nation's first person who identifies as transgender to serve in the state Senate.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I think 2020 is a really transformative year, and as we look back at it, you know, in 5, 10, 20 years from now, hopefully things are calmed down, we will say, wow, what a year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you think about what years are as transformative, maybe 1968, which was the year I was born. It was the year MLK got assassinated. We were deep into the Vietnam War. Maybe 1941, 1942, the United States gets into World War II. Trying to think what was transformative in the last 70,
well, I mean,
years.
even I would say 9/11 and the war, the attacks on Iraq, and that as well.
Right.
Because those are transformative times in my era.
That is true. And I'll tell you one more year that enters my mind. And you happen to be right. 2001 was definitely a transformative year because it changed America, 9/11. It made America...
The way we traveled.
The way we travel,
everything.
the way we police ourselves, the way we provide security to the citizens, the way that Americans allowed our civil rights to be chipped away because they wanted security. So yeah, 2001 was transformative. 1979, the Iranian hostage caused Jimmy Carter to lose the election, brought in Reaganomics. And what that did, and what Reaganomics did, was that started the era of large tax cuts for the ultra wealthy, with the idea of trickle-down economics, that if the wealthy were to have large tax cuts, corporations, huge corporations were to have large tax cuts, there would be additional spending by wealthy people that will trickle down to the upper middle class, that will trickle down to the middle class, that will trickle down to the working class, that will trickle down to the people who are below the poverty level and raise them up we don't know if that's really happens. Certainly, economic activity happens when that happens, but does it benefit everybody? That's the million-dollar question that's debated, why some people vote Republican and some people vote Democrat, because, you can argue it all you want. Yes, economic activity is better, but is everybody benefiting?
Right.
So, but the 1979 Iran hostage situation, that caused Reaganomics. So I guess that was transformative too. But of all of the years, I can't think of a year that is more transformative than 2020.
And 2020.
2020, yeah. Too many things. It was all at once.
I could tell you on December 31st, you wear those glasses, 2020. I'm going to be like, thank God it's 2021. I'm like, oh, thank God this year is over.
Take me there already.
Right?
There yet.
Don't you want that? Like, where's that 2021 glasses? I want to wear them already. Right.
Please.
I can almost see it.
Can you imagine how excited we were for 2020 to come, though? We were like, this is like a dope year, 2020.
We were idiots.
No idea.
Yo, we were a bunch of idiots. All right? We were a bunch of idiots so excited about 2020. I remember the good old I remember the good old days of 2019 when we just had to be mad about a pumpkin, right? Now we got to be mad about 100 different things. This is weird. A strange incident took place in China recently. One woman went on a blind date with 23 of her family members to test her potential boyfriend and see how generous he is. The man was faced with such a tough situation when the woman did not only bring in her 23 family members, but also asked him to pay all their dining expenses. Can you imagine show up to a blind date and you're taking out the entire extended family?
No.
And I'm a generous person. And I never met this. I never met this woman. I'm already getting angry, and I'm like, don't take advantage. I'm not feeding your whole family on the first date.
23 people.
23 people. The bill ran up to 20,000 yen, which is a little under $200, which is not bad for feeding 23 people.
What?
I mean, I don't know where the hell they went. All right, to feed 23. That you fed an entire family for under $10 a person.
What app did these people meet at? It was a trap.
All I can tell you is at first I'm like, wow, take me to that restaurant. I'd like to do that too. But then I'm like, whoa, maybe I don't want to eat there because maybe Uncle Brad won't be doing a show for a week. I'd be sick after eating at that restaurant, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat there.
Is that also an issue that it was the first date at that restaurant? But who's judging, right?
Meanwhile, I'll tell you what happened to the unsuspecting date. His name was Zhao Lu. He walked out of the restaurant when he learned that he had to pay the bill for all 23 people. According to the local Chinese newspaper, the couple then came to an agreement after which the woman and her family paid a huge sum of money. The story's gone viral because the restaurant didn't know where to go get their money for the bill. Nobody was paying the bill.
Awkward.
Yeah, I wouldn't have paid. I don't even care that, like, it's not even just the amount, because the amount isn't that much. Honestly, $200, that could be a good date for two people, honestly. What is it, Fogo de Chao, two of us was $300. But it is the principle. You are not bringing your whole family on the first date, not only it being the first date, but also the blind date. You got me messed up.
You are totally. And by the way,
if you want to see a show.
And by the way, can you imagine what happens on the 10th date if they brought 23 family members on the first one? What the heck's going to happen on the? What are you paying for on the 10th date, right?
Once we get comfortable, right?
Nah, hell no. You got me twisted. I want to see what this girl look like.
I don't know.
Well, that's what I want to see.
Well, she probably better be really attractive, right?
Better be.
Meanwhile,
brave is for sure.
Meanwhile, a Dutch train ran off the elevated tracks but was caught by a statue. A Dutch train burst past the end of its elevated tracks Monday in the Netherlands. But instead of crashing to the ground 30 feet below, the metro train was caught and held aloft by an artist's massive sculpture of a whale. Can you imagine? Oh my God. There was some damage, but no injuries. It could have left a lot of people dead. The sculpture at the end of the tracks was giving a name, Saved by the Whale's Tail. That was the name of the sculpture. It was built in 2000. Yeah, it was built in 2002, installed at the De Acker station in the city just outside of Rotterdam. And the partial derailment is now under investigation. Oh my God, I would be freaking out. But I think the comedy is that the name of the statue was Saved by the Whale's Tail.
Insane.
Insane, right? You can't make that stuff up. It's
literally.
True story.
Right.
It's wacky Thursday. You can't make this stuff up, right?
Could you imagine being on that train though?
No.
I couldn't even imagine.
No.
Wait, do they have
Right,
a lawsuit?
he's saying the story.
Do they have what?
Do they have a lawsuit?
I don't know anything about the laws of the
but I'm
Netherlands.
asking.
If this was in the United States, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Everybody? Okay.
Everybody on that train who's injured has a lawsuit. Trains are not supposed to derail. If a train derails, that's negligence somewhere. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's not an act of God when a train derails.
That is
Call
scary.
Spartan Bernstein.
Call Spartan Bernstein, 1-800-529.
Anybody watching?
Meanwhile, an artificial intelligence camera deployed by a Scottish soccer team recently got a little confused when it kept confusing the bald head of a referee with the soccer ball being used in the same game. The automatic camera system with the inbuilt AI ball tracking technology was really a bald tracking technology. During a recent live stream of matches, the AI camera operator repeatedly, and to great effect, confused the lineman's bald head with the soccer ball. During watching TV, they have an artificial intelligence camera, and the camera is supposed to follow the ball, but it's following the bald referee's head instead.
Hilarious.
Isn't that hilarious?
Wow.
The overall effect was the AI had a crush on the linesman and can't help but zoom in on his beautiful, gleaming head. That was the TV. You can
Don't
watch.
shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
He's programmed to do a job.
Meanwhile, Japan's latest solution to the work-from-home blues during the pandemic may be the most fun option yet. Last month, the country opened its national parks to office workers, installing Wi-Fi hotspots and power strips in the middle of nature. That's nice. But in case you're in the market for a more whimsical workplace, a theme park in Japan is now offering remote workers the chance to rent a Ferris wheel gondola and spend your working day going around the Ferris wheel. Yes. Amusement park Yomaruland announced an amusement workation package to bring in professionals working remotely. You could spend the day going around the wheel. There's Wi-Fi, bring your laptop, and go to work.
Wouldn't that be kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I'd be over it, like after 10 minutes of being on a Ferris wheel.
Yeah, I would want to get off. When do you get to go to the bathroom during your workday?
Right.
Yeah.
So then it's like you have like I don't know how many people can fit on there, but like then you're going off of everybody else's like bathroom schedule, food schedule, anything like that, or like just want to get off.
It looks cooler than what it is.
Meanwhile, if I was somebody's boss and they decided to go on a Ferris wheel workation, I'd be like, Smith, where's Smith? Where's that fool? That fool is on the Ferris wheel? You're fired.
You wouldn't allow it?
I would no. No. Can you imagine one of our attorneys or paralegals doing law from a Ferris wheel? We don't have a Smith, by the way. I made up. There's no Smith. There's no Smith here. Yeah.
Yeah, but you never know. That could also bring traction, you know, if everybody's like, oh, yeah, the attorneys are doing their work on the Ferris wheel, and then everybody finds out about your law firm. And, you know,
good marketing. Good marketing. Yeah.
I could be your PR.
Yeah. Meanwhile, a British family discovered that a mirror hanging above their toilet once belonged to Marie Antoinette. You know who Marie Antoinette is?
I know that
She was the Queen of France. She said to the king about the peasants, let them eat cake, or they not eat cake. The discovery could now leave them as much as $13,000 richer. They found Marie Antoinette's, she got beheaded during the French Revolution, and they found her mirror. It's now worth $13,000. They thought it was a crappy old mirror, you know, and the owner who found it said they seemed to find it more interesting than valuable, but when they took it to be valued, Stowe said, this is the guy who found it, Stowe said the family soon found a wonderful paper trail, including a catalog from an 1880 auction for the estate of the late Napoleon. The wife of King Louis XVI, Antoinette, is thought to have kept the mirror in a larger collection at a palace before she was executed in France in 1793.
Wow.
What do you have in your apartment? Can I come around and rummage around your apartment, Vanessa?
So that's what I was just thinking. I was just thinking that, like, the only thing that I've ever gotten from, like, a thrift store is this one mirror that's in my room. It looks kind of antique, but I don't know if it's if it was, you know.
You're gonna have to take another look in the mirror.
I once went up to the very cute Vanessa. I once went up to the Berkshire Mountains, and I went into this store. And they had like this, picture of like this Chinese ancestor. It looked like 300-400 years old. And the guy's like, yeah, it's like 300-400 years old. Very inexpensive. I'm like, oh, I'll take it. And I thought I'm like, I literally got like the bargain of the century. And I held it, because I was in my 20s when I got it. And I held it in my basement for like 25 years. And when I went to get divorced, I had to move my stuff out of the house. And I'm like, I'm taking this ancestor with me. And I went, and I'm like, and I'm thinking this thing is worth a ton of money. So I bring it, to the auction house.
So you went and got it appraised?
I went to the auction house to get it appraised. And you know what I was told? This ancestor ain't no ancestor. This was drawn about 15 years ago. I got lied to. So sometimes, and then I tried to look back, and find this place where I bought it. They're out of business. So sometimes when you think you find a treasure, you find
just trash.
Trash, exactly.
Brad, what were you gonna say to the people?
25 years ago, I bought this ancestor from you, and you told me it was 300 years old, and it was in fact 5 years old when I bought it, because it's now 30 years old. Yeah. What's it going to do 25 years after?
Right.
But so you never know. Sometimes, as Vanessa says, sometimes it's a treasure, and sometimes it's just trash.
Trash.
P&O Cruises has shared a sneak peek of its new cruise ship, the Iona, the largest cruise ship ever built in the United Kingdom. At 185,000 tons and 345 meters in length with 17 decks, it is expected to host up to 5,200 passengers on board. However, with coronavirus, it's a beautiful ship. It's wonderful. 5,200 people on board a cruise ship in the year 2020 or 2021. You're talking 5,200 Brits boarding that cruise ship, and you're talking probably 4,500 Brits coming off with coronavirus. Is that something you would want to do right now?
No.
No.
No. And also, after Titanic, I don't do stuff like that. Titanic has screwed any chance of me going on cruises.
You never went on a cruise ship ever?
Nope. I watched Titanic. Titanic came out when I was like in the 8th grade, and from that movie, I was scarred for life.
Really?
Like, I'm terrified of like cruise ships because of that movie.
That movie scared you?
Yeah, I was young when I watched it.
You don't want to like sit at the top and go, "I'm the king of the world." You don't want to do that? No,
I'm good.
I went on one. How many cruises have you done, Vanessa?
Just one.
Did you like it?
Just one. Yeah, I liked it. It was just too long.
Yeah.
It was like one of those 7-day cruises, and I was like 21 or something. Right. So it was like a lot of families, and I was like, where are all the cool kids at?
I did a cruise once. I did a cruise once in my life.
Just once?
Just once. Only once. I'll tell you what I liked and what I didn't like. I loved that there was always food, because Uncle Brad likes to eat. So wherever you looked, there was food. There was food left. You looked left. There's food to the right. What I didn't like was being stuck on a boat, and the pools on the boat look really beautiful in the brochures. But when you step into the pool, in real life, it's the size of a bathtub, and you go, and the water is up to your knees, and there's 100 kids jumping up and down on you, and you're and then you're like, Now, Uncle Brad, don't do this.
That's why
family cruises,
yeah. Uncle Brad, don't do this pool.
You need to go to the adult ones, like the ones
I was with my kids.
Get drunk
I was with my kids.
That's what the entertainers on this ship. Exactly. Uncle Brad, he was being uncle, had went on the ship with his kids.
It was a lot of fun. I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again.
Where's the 3-day weekend cruise?
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.